Welcome to another episode of the CPG Guys podcast. Our co-hosts, Sri Rajagopalan and Peter V.S. Bond, explore how brands and retailers engage with consumers online, in-store, and everywhere in between. And now, here are Sri and Peter.
Welcome, folks, to this episode of the CPG Guys podcast. I'm, of course, Sri, the West Coast CPG guy. And joining me is the East Coast CPG guys, Mr. Peter, aka the golden voice himself, Peter V.S. Bond. This, of course, is Women's History Month in March 2022, and an important month for the CPG guys with our partnership with Next Up, formerly known as the Network of Executive Women and Gender Equality Development. We featured Cara Russo from Walmart Connect, VP of Marketing, Candace Mitchell-Harris, founder of a hair care textured product, Architect with our friend Risa Crandall, and Patty Descamps of Clorox. And finally, Brand Share with Jennifer Voles from Walgreens. Peter, your thoughts on Women's History Month? How you doing?
I'm doing great, Sri. I think it's, as I've said in previous episodes, recognizing the contribution that women have made to the advancement of our society, their contributions to business, to social life, and not just assuming that this is all understood, that we really just need to continue to call it out, as you mentioned, for the purpose of being able to promote gender equality in the workplace and just about everywhere we're living together. So I think it's very important. It's towards the end of the month. I know, Sri, tomorrow I'm heading out to Las Vegas to attend the Shop Talk conference. So I'm really excited to get together in real life with a whole lot of people that you and I know very well. And it should be a good couple of days. I'm sorry that you won't be joining me, but you'll be at another event on the East Coast. I think between the two of us, we've got everything covered, but so many things coming up for us over the next couple of months in terms of our attending all these events.
You bet, Peter. I'll be at FMI. You'll be at Shop Talk. Between FMI and Shop Talk, I think we're hitting up what's going on with retail in 2022, one way or another. So looking forward to that. And before we get to our guests, let me remind our audience that all of our content can easily be found. All you got to do is go to a browser, hit cpgguys.com. If you aren't already following us on LinkedIn, enter CPG Guys in the search box once you get to linkedin.com. And when you get to our page, hit that blue plus follow button, which basically says blue plus button, which says follow. That way you'll get to see all of our content we are producing. And the best thing about it, there's no charge, there's no subscription fee. Jump on. It's always been about education and sharing journey, and it's going to remain that way. Remember to check out the FMCG Guys podcast, our sister podcast hosted by Daniel and Efrain. They take the CPG Guys podcast format across the pond and speak to retail and FMCG luminaries from a European perspective. To find out more, all you got to do is just visit fmcgguys.com or go to cpgguys.com and click on the line which says FMCG Guys. And we're proud to partner with Next Up, also known as the Network of Executive Women, whose mission it is to advance all women in business and to promote the cause of gender equality and career dev. Visit nextupisnow.org to learn more about this great group during Women's History Month. On to our episode today. Today's episode features none other than Sigmoid. Sigmoid is a preferred data engineering and AI solutions partner to Fortune 1000 companies in the US. Recently, Sigmoid was recognized in the Deloitte Technology Fast 500 winners list for the second consecutive year. Congratulations, Sigmoid. Data continues to be a word that challenges many of us in business as integration, collection, AI, and normalization are the anchors. I know I face a lot of that myself. To decompose the world of managing data for meaningful reporting, analytics, insights, hopefully we'll get into AI. We are joined for today's episode by the SVP of Supply Chain Strategy and Transformation at none other than Mondelēz, Frank Cervi, and CTO founder at Sigmoid, Mayur Rustagi. Please join Peter and me in welcoming to the podcast both Frank and Mayur. Frank and Mayur, welcome. How you doing?
Pretty good, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you to both of you. But before we jump into the Q&A section of this podcast and dive into more details on your relationship here as well as on Sigmoid, let me first ask you, Mayur, can you take a minute and tell our audience what the value proposition of Sigmoid is, a brief introduction of who you are, and if people wanted to find out more about Sigmoid, how they could do that easily?
We are one of the fastest growing data firms globally. Our headquarters is in the Bay Area, but we have presence throughout the globe in South America, Europe, and the largest being in India. We help our customers define their data strategy, put that data strategy to motion with analytical dashboards and machine learning systems, and then engineer those systems to production with our data engineering and data ops practice. You can find out more at sigmoid.com. That's sigmoid.com.
Thank you, Mayur. Frank, if I could ask you to do the same, a brief overview of your role at Mondelēz.
I look after strategy for the supply chain in Mondelēz and also the transformation programs that are going on there. Mondelēz, as many of you probably know, is the maker of the best chocolate and biscuits in the world. And so if you want to find out more about Mondelēz, I recommend you go down to the supermarket if you're in the US and buy some Oreos, and you'll find our website on the back of that pack. In my spare time from Mondelēz, I've been privileged for the last 6 months or so to work with Sigmoid as an advisor to them. And that's been an extremely enjoyable journey for me where I've learned a lot.
A man true to my heart, Peter, I should say true to our heart. His advice for people to get to know Mondelēz was to go to the supermarket and actually pick up a product. And in my opinion, and yours, Frank, nothing beats that. So folks, y'all heard it right here on the CPG Guys. You want to learn more? Yes, you're going to find it in the digital liner notes of this podcast, boast about Sigmoid and Mondelēz. No better way of learning than standing in front of a shelf and picking up a product. Well said, Frank. Thank you for that. So let's jump in now into the questions. And I'm going to kick it off first, Mayur. And I'd really love to learn a lot more about Sigmoid. So we're going to jump into your world. Tell us how the journey started. What was the inspiration? And where are you as a company today? Who are your clients? And what are different projects you guys are working on these days?
Sure. We bootstrapped this company in 2013 out of Bangalore with two of my co-founders, Lokesh and Rahul. We started this journey working with technology startups in the Bay Area and helping them build analytical solutions. But we quickly realized that the data space was ripe for disruption, and our thesis was based on two aspects. One, every decision can be made better with data. And key executives in every company were starting to realize this. There's a ton of value buried in their data that can transform their business. We realized correctly that tapping into this data is going to decide winners in this new world. And second, every company struggles in creating the right data setup. You are not alone in this, right? Because building big data systems requires a very different expertise and technology which most companies are bred with, and definitely different than traditional software engineering. Even core technology companies we were working with at that time were struggling with it. This inspired us to create Sigmoid. Today, we have helped more than 25 global Fortune 500 companies build their next generation data engineering and AI ML solutions, creating business impact of hundreds of millions of dollars, and we are proud of it.
Mayur, Frank, welcome to the CPG Guys podcast. Frank, you mentioned that Mondelēz is maker of the finest chocolate in the world. I can attest to that because if I don't keep at least one Toblerone bar in my cupboard for my wife to consume at her leisure, that pretty much is grounds for divorce. So I'm a big fan. I can also say that Shri and I are avid users of the customized Oreo product, Oreo ID. We love to send people Oreo cookies with the CPG Guys logo on it. I think that's a wonderful little gift. So you don't have to sell us, big fans on your product. So Frank, as a veteran in the CPG industry, how are data engineering and AI impacting your business? I have to imagine that where data fits now is dramatically more important than, say, 5 or 10 years ago.
Yeah, I think you really hit the nail on the head with your comment on Toblerone, of course. But aside from that, yes, indeed, it is really changing literally every aspect of the CPG world. If you go back just 5 years, people were talking a lot about it. Now people are having to do it. It's now getting very real. We have a lot of challenges, of course, because every time you try to do something, you hit the same problems. Do you have the right data? Is the data clean? Can you analyze it? Can you set it up so that it will learn? And so the challenges are, if anything, multiplying as we understand more and more about what we could do with data engineering and AI. I mean, I'll just pick a very simple example. I've been working for about 40 years in this industry, and we've always been forecasting our sales. And probably for 35, maybe even for 40 of those years, we've been achieving about the same sales forecast accuracy. Now, people will say, yes, I'm better than this, I'm better than that, I'm less good, we've got a bigger problem. But it's around about 70% forecast accuracy 2 months out, lag 2, as we like to say. With AI and machine learning, which we've started to experiment with inside Mondelēz, we've found that we can gain between 5 and 10 percentage points of accuracy using models that learn from the data we have. And this is quite rudimentary stuff, according to Mayur, but it's going to change a lot of the way we do things. And with that, I'll hand it back to you.
Hey, Frank and Mayur, this question is actually for both of you. You know, if something is hot in the CPG and retail industry globally these days, there are two words that are surfacing up top. One, of course, is media that is now very much retail-centric, aka retail media. The other one is the word AI or artificial intelligence, making these both the single hottest sizzling terms these days. AI, of course, I've known is it can help take the most complex data sets and deliver reporting quickly, and it can help things scale in general. Is this the single biggest opportunity in the CPG industry for dynamic insights generation?
I would certainly say, if I can go first on that one, that we have a lot of change in front of us with these types of tools. Simply visualizing your data better in real time is a step change versus what we've been doing in the past. If you imagine many CPG companies, we've been running our businesses traditionally, looking at the results of last month at the end of the next month. So we are always looking backwards quite intensely, not even looking at real time. Looking real time is going to be very powerful for us. But of course, to be able to do that, to be able to visualize data, KPIs, information, you have to get the data into a form that you can actually process and manage. And on that one, which I think is by far the hardest part of the challenge, I'm going to hand over to Mayur to expand.
I totally agree, Frank. I see numerous companies today have already started to integrate AI into their business functions on a day-to-day basis. Like, we humans are really good at decision making, don't get me wrong, but most day-to-day decisions are best made with humans. But there's specific ones that where AI can really help and definitely make your decision making a lot more comprehensive. Our decade-long experience helps you choose which problems can be helped with AI and how exactly can AI help. Should AI take over the decision making? Should AI just help in providing insights in decision making, or which way, right? So I'll give you a couple of examples of that. So we had a customer that was trying to figure out the right ad combination for their right customer. So every customer should get a very specific ad that's kind of tailored to them, right? And they were doing all this manually, so they couldn't actually go down to individual customer level. They were looking at large segments, large geographical areas, and like about 20, 30 combinations. But if they had to go down to each individual customer, that was more than 100,000 combinations that they had to actually parse out, right? That's where we came in. We identified their methodology, we understood the metrics that they're looking to target and the KPIs they're looking to beat, and then created this system that would scale up to those 100,000 combinations to identify the right combination for each person. That customization is hard to create if it's completely done with a human and a kind of a manual approach. Similarly, we had another customer that created a price elasticity solution that was very good. However, like with COVID, every month situation was changing. What should be the price next, right? So, and you have to take so many metrics, competition, placements, sales trends, and COVID numbers now to actually come up with the price elasticity solution. And they used to run it once a quarter and get like the results back after half a quarter. It's too slow in a dynamic world like this, right? Again, we automated the entire system, put on strong quality controls, and got all these additional metrics to run this monthly. These are areas where AI really shines.
Mayur, if I can just play that out for the sake of our audience here, how I interpret both your examples is one of the best users of AI, and y'all are right in the center of Sigmoid is right in the center of this, is customization and personalization at scale. That could be whether it's promotions It could be whether it's active campaigns via advertising, things of that nature. But bottom line, it's really scaling of personalization. And that's what you're right in the middle of with AI. Is that fair?
Exactly. I think that's where AI really, really shines in kind of giving every customer a unique experience.
So Mayur, can you tell us how you see Sigmoid having differentiated itself from other data analytics companies? What are the tangible results for CPG brands or retailers that work with you, and how can this result in stronger downstream ROI generation?
Exactly. So we at Sigmoid are an end-to-end data firm. What that means is we provide a comprehensive solution to our customers. We build systems to actually pull data from retailers, marketing channels, databases, you have it. We then create data lakes to store that data and create machine learning models and analytical systems to analyze it. This cross-functional approach means that customers can reach out to us no matter where they are in their data journey, and we can help them in that area. We can also diagnose where the customer may get stuck or is already stuck, even if they don't know it yet. This is what sets us apart. We see companies that are starting their journey, but getting stuck in doing many of these steps manually, like many of these early steps manually. Such manual systems are brittle, they're slow, and they're error prone. Like how many times it has happened to you that you've asked to add one more data source to your systems or get one more report, and the team says they can't do it or it's going to take forever, right? You would think after adding 100 reports, the 101 should be faster, right? That's how normal humans think. But you'd often see that it's counterintuitively not so. And this is because manual systems continuously need to be redesigned for every small changes. Our approach is very different. We start with an ROI in mind and keep incremental deliverables that the customers can start using from the get-go. We build models and reports with a strong engineering foundation, so every data source is easier and every new report is faster. The software engineering industry has been doing it for decades. We are just now bringing it to data. To do this, we have created our own agile framework for data. It's a unique process we have created to eliminate risk. I'll give you an example of it. For every project, we start off by identifying the clear ROI. What is it that the customer is looking to achieve? Not in terms of dashboards or reports, but basically in terms of the business impact that they're looking to drive. Then we get to the data. We try to understand, does it have the right depth and the quality to actually deliver that value? We do all of this even before we start any development, and this eliminates many of the risks that a project may face, and again, ensures success. Finally, our company was founded in the era of cloud and open source. We manage and run some of the largest systems in the cloud. I'm talking about tens of thousands of AWS nodes, petabytes data being stored in GCP systems, and thousands of Snowflake database. We process close to about 300 terabytes of data across all of our customers with the pipelines that we have built till date. This strong engineering foundation, data expertise, and cloud knowledge sets us apart from every other analytics company.
Mayur, I like that statement you made. The software industry has been in this space forever. And I'd argue that it's not just data that's catching up now. It's the CPG industry and retail focus on CPGs catching up now and truly understanding that folks like you, Sigmoid, the value proposition you bring with AI is really scaling anything. There's the data analytics component. The outcomes are actually pretty phenomenal. And to many executives, it's probably a little scary in terms of how deep you can go with personalization at the customer, consumer level in a shopping occasion across the whole path to purchase. So let me remind our audience that Peter and I are speaking today with Mayur Rustagi, CTO co-founder of Sigmoid, and Frank Cervi, SVP of Supply Chain Strategy and Transformation at Mondelēz. Mayur, this one is for you and Sigmoid. So solving this digital and analytics scale-up challenge in consumer goods is a real thing. We've kind of started alluding to it now. So why don't we jump right into the center of Sigmoid, digital transformation and scale up. And of course, Frank, please chime in these strange supply chain challenge times, how your role helps takes your company forward on this as well.
Well, perhaps I'll jump first then, because you've touched on something very important in the last couple of questions. When we think about a digital application, I like to refer to a dog, and this hand here, this fist is my dog, and there's the tail. So here's your dog, and here's the tail. Many people, when we talk digital, they think about the dashboard at the end of the tail, i.e. the Tableau or the business intelligence dashboard that can show you your data. Somewhere along the tail, you've got a little bit of causal analytics maybe, and maybe at the base of the tail, getting a bit more muscular here, you've got some ML. And then you've got this huge dog called data. And quite often, we know everything about the tail and everything we'd like to do with the tail, but we don't know much about the dog or don't know enough about the dog. And those are the challenges that the applications that I'm pushing forward in Mondelēz are often bumping up against. And many of my peers in other CPG companies have said the same thing to me. What I love about my interactions with Sigmoid is they start with the whole dog. They don't try and sell you a nice dashboard. They try and look at what do you need holistically. And I think Mayur alluded to this in more technical terms. What do you need to really solve that business problem, to get you that ROI, i.e. what is that business outcome you want? And they look at all of it. And they're not shy of what I call the really hardcore work that takes place on data. Mayur, maybe you want to build on that, I don't know.
Sure. I think that's absolutely right. Like as organizations become data driven, the demand for data management and AI solutions to actually deliver personalized insights is really, really increasing. And we saw COVID tip it over like massively in the last couple of years. Like there was a massive change in the marketing and sales channels of these brands. Like companies which earlier had maybe a single brand doing some of their business online suddenly had most of their brands doing all of their business online, right? And so that was kind of a crazy thing that CPG companies were hit with. And like companies which earlier didn't even know how many customers came into the store, what did they buy, what else did they buy, like they were doing everything to figure that out. And suddenly now they know where did the customer come from, what did he buy again, right? Did they like the product or not? Was there a review? Like everything about the customer, right? So like very rich information. The other change that's happening is in the marketing space. It was always important, online marketing. However, now that the sales is online, there is measurable ROI that can be attached to it. Every dollar spent can actually bring $10 back into the system, which is why we see CPG companies playing a bigger role in the marketing space. They want to handle it themselves rather than just relying on agencies to run it. But this also requires them to have very strong data management expertise to be able to track all that, things that agencies and other companies have been having it for years. These are large opportunities for every business. And our customers want to get to this data real time and iterate faster. As an example, we worked for a leading CPG company in the oral space, and we automated their entire data ingestion from online retail so that they know every day how much is selling, what are their sales trends. And we created this entire efficient analytics that saved them $1.5 million from the get-go. So just investing in data bring back ROI so quickly now with everything being online that CPG companies have to invest in it.
So Frank, after your last response, I'll never look at my Norwegian account the same way again, and I appreciate that. But you kind of touched on one of the differentiating and compelling aspects of Sigmoid is that they do look at the entire business issue holistically and not just what the output is at the end. What else in your experience with Sigmoid did you find different and compelling in their approach versus other technology companies you may have dealt with?
Well, Sigmoid are trying to sell a business solution. They're not trying to sell you a product. So it's not like they have an off-the-shelf product and say, here, this does this for you, whatever this happens to be. And now you'll have to make it work. In other words, you'll have to change your business processes so that you can use the output of it. Oh, and by the way, you'll have to do all the plumbing on the input side of it so that it will actually turn. And you're talking in many of the off-the-shelf tools require a huge amount of plumbing. I call it plumbing, flow of data. It's an easy way for a non-tech like me to think about it. Sigmoid sell you a solution. They say, okay, what are you trying to solve for? And they'll build you the solution. And then you may or may not want to change your business processes so that you can use the solution. And that is something you would discuss with Sigmoid and then have it built the way you want it with the change you want to make. Mayur, am I putting you in the right light here? I hope I am.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And with data, it's a lot more complex because data as a system has physics. If you move data, it takes time. If you actually have to read data, it takes time. It has physics, is how I like to think about it, right? So if you have to if you have to bring in products that align with your data and you have to move your data, like all of these are very complex, large moving parts, right? So the way we like to work is to align with customers kind of and understand where they are and what is it that can give them the immediate help, rather than figuring out where to fit this product into my systems to make it faster.
I like the use of the word data as physics. That's one nobody has ever said on the show, but that's what it is. And so let's jump into, is that what, we up top of this show, we talked about you, Mayur, winning awards from Deloitte, not just once, but more than once. So is the physics really what's driving the growth these past few years for Sigmoid?
I mean, our passion for data is kind of definitely a big part of it. Data is tough, and having that single-minded focus to just look at data and nothing else, and helping the companies make that change is something that's definitely driving a lot of this growth. The future is data-driven, and our customers realize it. That's what's creating the market conditions for growth. Today, we are a trusted data and data science partner for the world's leading CPG companies, retail companies, financial services, manufacturing, and media. We are a group of 500 data experts who know what the customers want, and that's why the customers love us.
So then let me close this out, Mayur, by looking towards the future, as you mentioned. What do you see it holding for Sigmoid? Are there particular AI investments and capabilities that you're looking to deliver to your clients? And what can future partners expect from you as you look towards the future?
I think if I look at the last decade, right, the last decade and what is ongoing is the movement towards cloud. So sort of towards more agility from a technology landscape that's creating a tectonic shift. The second aspect that I'm looking at, which is very clear to me, like software companies were always software companies. But slowly we saw many traditional companies become software companies. So I can pick the example of financial companies, right? What is the last time you went to a bank, right? You interact with them on a mobile, you get your invoices on your email, right? You talk to, at max, you talk to a customer care executive, and that's kind of pretty much it, right? And financial companies kind of really realize it, that they are today software companies. Everything, all touch points are software, everything is software, right? That's been happening to industry after industry. Travel companies are all software, right? So they do your booking, everything is software. You never interact with anybody else there, right? The same change with COVID is now coming to CPG companies, right? The CPG companies, already the touch points and everything has started to become online, right? So if I compare the maturity of where the CPG analytics is compared to, let's say, a cutting edge technology company like Facebook that's running tens of thousands of experiments on their website, that's kind of evaluating their products, right? So you can see the difference. Companies need to actually evolve and actually need to iterate much, much faster than they were ever doing before, right? Which kind of she talked about is kind of scary. It's scary, but it's an opportunity. It's a huge opportunity lying in front of CPG companies to iterate faster and faster and actually reach that level of a software company. And that's the opportunity we are helping our CPG partners track.
Frank, I'll open the floor to you, kind of ad lib over here, see if there's anything else, any pearls of wisdom you want to drop for the industry in general here before we wrap up.
I'll just say that this is a space which is incredibly exciting. It's going to touch everything we do, and probably more quickly than we are really ready for. It's a privilege, as I say, to be involved in working on this, both inside Mondelēz and also with Sigmoid. It's a privilege to be on this podcast and talk with you guys and share some of my sheer enthusiasm for what we're going to be able to do in this space.
Oh, the enthusiasm is on the money, make no mistake. So let me remind our audience that you can find all our content by going to a browser and simply typing cpgguys.com as the URL. And if you think your company has some thought leadership to contribute to our community here on the CPG Guys discussion, drop us an email at contact@cpgguys.com. That again is contact@cpgguys.com. And maybe you can join us on this podcast and shape the transformation of this industry in a positive way. Also, the best way to get involved with us outside of dropping us an email is we'd love for you to drop us a rating and a review. What that helps us do is once you go to ratethispodcast.com/CPG Guys, if you drop us a rating, we know how well we're doing and the quality of this podcast. And if you drop us a review, you can tell us who you'd like on the show, topics you'd like on the show, as this show is made by you, for you, from you. Of course, it's Women's History Month, March 2022. I'd ask all of Peter and I will ask all of you a question. What have you read and learned about gender equality today? Do chime in to next up's podcast. Mayur and Frank, sincerely, thank you for a stimulating conversation here on some of the most hottest, exciting spaces, AI in the industry today.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks for having us. Yeah. Lovely.
Mr. PVSP. So we've covered the spectrum of kind of trying to get underneath the covers of that scary word, artificial intelligence. And we've kind of narrowed it down very carefully and said it's the physics of data, AI coming together. At the end of the day, this is about achieving scale of unprecedented proportions, which erstwhile in our industry was unthinkable. So now, thinkable. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think what I got out of this today is that all too often analytic insight providers focus on selling a product and delivering a dashboard and spend less time actually understanding what the core business issue is and what are the data assets. And what I heard from Sigmoid is that they are trying to holistically solve problems, and they're not going to force fit a product where it doesn't necessarily apply and requires an enormous amount of lift on the part of their client to activate it. That's just silly. So I'm quite impressed by what they've put together, Shri.
I'm thinking through, Peter, all the points on the path to purchase, which of course today is 24/7, anywhere, any device, anything can be shopped. What role AI scaling could do in influencing outcomes on the path to purchase for brands and for retail. And the other thing I took away, Peter, is every time you look at Tove, your second best friend after Shri, from now on, you're going to see a giant data map on Tove, whether it's the tail or the body. And you're going to think about the physics of AI.
Somewhere under all that, that double coat of thick Norwegian fur. Yep, that's exactly what I'll be looking at, Shri. Thanks for joining me on this.
Of course, Peter, thank you for the week-over-week partnership here on the CPG Guys. This episode, of course, was brought to you in partnership with Sigmoid. That's a wrap, and we will see you soon on another episode of the CPG Guys.
The content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from CPG Guys LLC or the individual author, hosts, or guests, nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by CPG Guys LLC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views expressed by CPG Guys LLC do not represent the views of their employers or the entity they represent. CPG Guys LLC expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, or inability to use this podcast or the information we present in this podcast.